All right, everybody, happy Sunday morning. This is Axe. You get me fresh after a run in the blistering Florida heat. So you get me at my best with all that dopamine cycling through. So let's see what I can do with it. This is a PCRI's chart, and I'm going through this without any graphics or lines first, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So when you heard me say Friday, I think it was, after the morning OPEX ended, I said it was very similar to the extreme euphoria we saw going into that Fed meeting in March. I think this was around, I want to say like 16 to 18 April, right? We were up here in terms of, this is the PCR right here. And then all of a sudden, all the gamma came off and boom, we're down here. And it's very similar. This whole time we've sort of been riding this range down below, right, where it's trying to bounce a little bit. You can see up here is where I said they were basically selling into it. They got steamrolled, and so they started buying calls, but they still hesitant, right? We're still above this area from March and November. Anyway, so basically all the gamma came off, and then boom, we spiked up. And you can see this is significant. This takes us back to where most of our declines began, and is indicative of basically a bunch of calls coming off, and the only thing being left were the hedges, right? So there's two ways we can go about this. You can say, okay, all their hedges are left, which means they're going to drive price down to be able to monetize their hedges and then pull them off, and then we're going to rally out of here, right? So one scenario basically is, let's just say we reset this whole thing, right, to like 4K. They're going to bring it down here to where their hedges are able to be monetized, and then they're going to take those off, and then boom, off we go. Or they can keep spiking this, and basically we can break this out, and that's where things can get really nasty, and we can maybe go towards the lows or lower than the lows. The only other situation I see where this can sort of be nullified, and again, now let me turn these. So I just wanted you to see that, like, the spike we had here is very significant, very large amount. We're almost back to 1 from the 0.7s, right? And when you heard me say euphoria, a lot of times we were down here, but by the end of the day, it sold off. So we'd start low, end up here. Let me turn the drawings back on. And this is messy. It's just the way it has to be. I apologize. It looks like a spaghetti game of some sort. But so if we are to see, the third scenario is basically if on Monday they just go crazy and they say, this is a dip that I want to get on and we want to ride it to 4,400, 4,500, whatever, right? They can just buy calls out the ass and bring this back down, which would essentially, because we're so close to a capitulation zone, you can see this dotted green line, the first green line here, the dotted green line, as I've said in other videos, these are capitulation zones. We were really high up here early Friday, and then it looks like they maybe hedged or some people bought the dip. Anyway, so up here's capitulation. And let me just go back so you can see, like, except for like major lows, like December of 2020, we broke out of there and went much higher. Same with that final descent in 2018. Anyway, so if Monday they wake up and they say, hey, we're just going to buy the hell out of this dip and we're going to bring this down here, you could say we had like a mini capitulation, and now bears, to be honest, are screwed. So that's the one scenario where bears, I think, need to worry about. But if you go back to what I posted yesterday in terms of a possible sell signal, I want to show you something here. So if we zoom in, you can see this blue, we have a blue over orange crossover here, which I said typically marks at least a local bottom or a local top. We've got it here in June 9th. We've got it here beginning of April. And again, we have to get down into this area here. Okay, so we had it in January, and if we go back further, we sort of had one in June of 21, and you can see it basically was a quick dip. So very similar to what we have now, which is why I'm a little cautious. It was a quick dip. But again, and then December of 2020, that was really the exception to all of my rules. But again, we didn't have a sell signal. So anyway, so we had this crossover here. We've got this white MA crossing over the red. We've got this white MA down here crossing over the red. We have this one crossing over the red, right? So all these things are happening at the same time, and that's essentially how we print a sell signal. And they're basically a range. It doesn't have to be the exact line. It's usually when they align together. And so you can see here on June 9th, we basically had a similar effect, only it came from above instead of from below. Kind of here on in mid-April. This is like our original sell signal here. We had one in January 5th. Basically this December 29th zone, we had one as well. So this January 5th was basically solidified that sell signal. So anyway, we have essentially what could be a sell signal, and the setup is there. Like I said, it's rare we have one up here. In fact, I had to continually rebuild this indicator because of the way we became so euphoric in November on, right? Like you can see everything changed down here. So we haven't really been in this range since 2019. And you can see basically the last time we had a sell signal in this zone of this upper red line is 25. Well, actually, it was the 21st of February, and then we continued on the 25th of February. So it's been a long time since we had one up here. So I'm a little skittish because we jumped so high. This is either going to be a quick and massive vol event, to be honest, or it's a bear trap. So those are the concerns that I have here. And you'll have to forgive me being cautious as a bear because bears have been getting steamrolled with these bear traps over and over again. But if you look to what we saw here again in mid-April, very similar setup. So I would not be surprised if we started bouncing down to here and chopping and eventually, like we did here, to kind of fool everybody and buy the dip, and then we go lower and the whole blah, blah, blah happens. So this is the PCRIs at present day. You can see we have a significant amount of volatility of hedging that's there, and that is indicative of more decline to come. Now, does it mean that we're going to crash? No. Does it, these giant moves here in 2022 are rare. We've had sell signals for all of our major declines, right? So September and October of 2020, we had a sell signal. We had sell signal in September of 21. We've had sell signals for really small moves too, right? So this could be a small move. We've got a back test to do here at somewhere around 39.88. I'm going to get into this in some of my other videos here shortly. But so there's a variety of things that can happen. So what we need to be careful of is the PCRIs on Monday. It needs to continue grinding higher. We don't want to see forced capitulation because that probably signals the end of the move. We also don't want to see a complete reversal and a bunch of calls come on because that means that basically we had a bear trap on Friday and bears are screwed. So that's what we're watching. But it's very possible we could have a major decline coming. So we'll obviously continue to keep up with that and keep you posted.